even remember where the journey started. It's that little 5 pages.
For more than 10 years, The Curse of Oak Island has held the attention of viewers around the world by embracing patience, mystery, and careful investigation. Unlike fast-paced television built around quick results, dramatic transformations, or survival challenges, this series takes a slower and more deliberate approach. It follows people who dig, search, and examine, where every nail pulled from the ground and every stone lifted from the earth is treated as a potential clue. Airing on the History Channel, the show has grown into a large-scale project that reminds audiences that asking questions can sometimes matter as much as finding answers. The first episode aired on January 5, 2014, under the title What Lies Below, and it reached an audience of 1,400,000 viewers. The series was produced by Kevin Burns of Prometheus Entertainment. It began after brothers Rick and Marty Lagina, originally from Michigan, purchased a share of Oak Island through Oak Island Tours Incorporated. Their fascination with the island started much earlier, in 1965, after Rick read about the mystery in a magazine. That early spark of curiosity eventually turned into a decades-long commitment. The show originally launched with only 6 episodes, but over time it expanded into 13 seasons, with discussion of a possible final season in 2025. By its 10th year on air, the series had surpassed 230 episodes, each running approximately 42 minutes. While some critics dismissed the show due to its slow pacing, the careful balance between history, theory, and methodical research kept viewers watching far longer than many comparable programs. At its core, the series follows the Lagina brothers as they attempt to solve a mystery that dates back to 1795. Oak Island itself spans roughly 140 acres and has attracted treasure seekers for centuries. Stories claim that priceless items may be buried within the money pit, a deep shaft believed to contain gold, sacred relics, or even the Holy Grail. However, the show never presents the hunt as a guaranteed path to sudden wealth. Instead, each episode focuses on slow, difficult work. The team struggles with mud, flooding tides, collapsing ground, and constant uncertainty. Rick, a retired postal worker, is guided by belief, hope, and curiosity. Marty, an engineer by training, takes a more cautious approach, carefully weighing costs and risks before moving forward. They are joined by team members such as Dan Hensley and Craig Test, along with rotating experts who analyze coins, wooden structures, metal fragments, and ancient bones that may suggest early European contact. The appeal of the show lies in the fact that it never delivers a complete solution. Rather than dramatic conclusions, it emphasizes incremental progress. A nail, a piece of cloth, or a cross can spark entire theories. Over the years, ideas involving the Knights Templar, Spanish explorers, or lost Aztec treasure have all been explored. Historians, divers, engineers, and code specialists regularly appear to share their interpretations. Production itself is steady and demanding. Prometheus Entertainment maintains a production facility in Halifax, overseen by John Levy and Joe Lassard. Film crews have followed the team across every season, documenting drilling operations, scanning procedures, swamp excavations, and strategy meetings in the war room. Marty has acknowledged that filming often slows progress, noting that it can take months of work to generate enough material for a single episode. Episodes frequently begin with a recap of previous findings before transitioning between hands-on fieldwork and detailed discussions. Editing plays a major role in shaping the narrative. Clear graphics show underground tunnels, maps of the island, and timelines of discoveries to help viewers understand what is being uncovered. Each season costs millions of dollars and is supported through Marty's business ventures alongside funding from the History Channel. Some viewers feel suspense is stretched, while others appreciate that it reflects the real pace of historical research. Contracts prevent discoveries from being revealed early, and companion programs such as Drilling Down offer expanded interviews and background. The production also works closely with Nova Scotia officials to respect heritage and safety laws. Local workers help move heavy equipment and reinforce drilling structures. Emotional moments shown on screen, such as Rick quietly tearing up over a small but meaningful find, are genuine. After more than 11 years, The Curse of Oak Island continues to attract loyal viewers. Its story is not defined by sudden triumph, but by persistence, shared purpose, and belief. Whether treasure is ever found or not, the ongoing search has become its own reward. The island's mystery remains alive, and those who explore it continue to add to its story, one careful step at a time. At the heart of this reality show is Rick Lagina, whose presence has played a significant role in bringing the story to a wider audience. Rick Lagina's passion at the heart of The Curse of Oak Island. When people think about The Curse of Oak Island, the image that often comes to mind is Rick Lagina, standing against the coastal winds of Nova Scotia, his hair caught in the breeze, eyes alive with curiosity and belief as he examines the muddy ground beneath his boots. He is a retired postal worker from Michigan who did not stumble into the spotlight by chance. He built his place there through persistence, imagination, and deep personal commitment. Since the series first aired in 2014, Rick has served as its emotional and philosophical engine, transforming what began as a family-driven exploration into one of the History Channel's most watched and longest-running programs. The series blends the spirit of adventure with careful observation and historical inquiry, and Rick's presence is central to keeping millions of viewers engaged year after year. Rick's connection to Oak Island traces back decades before cameras arrived. In 1965, when he was just 11 years old, he read a story in Reader's Digest describing the mystery of the Money Pit. That brief moment planted an idea that never faded. The concept of a hidden history buried beneath layers of earth, wood, and seawater stayed with him as he grew older. In 2006, he finally brought his brother Marty into the idea. Marty, who was already managing a successful winery business, joined Rick in purchasing most of Oak Island tours. For Rick, the pursuit was never centered solely on gold or riches. He was searching for a narrative preserved within the soil itself, one shaped by time, water, and human effort. In a 2017 interview with Reality Blurred, Rick explained his outlook by saying, "There's a wonderful story on Oak Island waiting to be written." When Prometheus Entertainment became interested in turning the search into a television series, Rick made it clear that the integrity of the process mattered. There would be no actors, no scripted dialogue, and no manufactured drama. The show would document real labor, genuine setbacks, and factual discoveries. He emphasized this point by stating, "Everything about that show is real. There are no scripts." That approach became the foundation of the series and helped it stand apart from other reality television. On screen, Rick naturally emerged as the hopeful leader of what became known as the Fellowship of the Dig. He approaches every artifact, map, and fragment with patience and care. During the 6th season, he reviewed research materials left behind by Zena Halpern and helped establish the Oak Island Research Center, a place dedicated to organizing and preserving findings. His involvement extends well beyond appearances on camera. Rick often helps clarify complex ideas so that viewers can better understand what the team is discovering. He once acknowledged, "Some of the things we have done, we have expanded on those because the show needs content." This expansion was not about altering facts, but about making the work visible and meaningful. Under Rick's guidance, the team adopted advanced technologies such as muography and LIDAR to examine what lies beneath the island's surface, particularly in and around the swamp. In a 2015 interview with Channel Guide magazine, Rick noted, "We made some damn significant progress and some interesting revelations." That steady sense of progress has helped sustain audience interest across 13 seasons and more than 230 episodes. What sets Rick apart is the deeply human way he searches. While Marty often focuses on logistics, planning, and financial realities, Rick reacts emotionally to small but meaningful discoveries. He shows reverence when holding a simple cross or a weathered piece of metal pulled from the ground. In the same reality-blurred interview, Marty once explained, "Rick's criteria is that he does not want to leave with regrets. That philosophy drives Rick through the long stretches of uncertainty. He values skepticism as a tool, believing things move forward because of skepticism. For him, doubt does not weaken belief, it strengthens purpose." As the show's popularity grew, Oak Island attracted visitors from around the world. Many children and young viewers became interested in history because of the series. In an interview with Sky History, Rick reflected on this impact, saying, "Our goal is to solve this mystery, but each person who watches the show seems to take away something a little bit different." That shared experience became part of the show's legacy. Rick has remained committed through years marked by difficult conditions, repeated flooding, and unsuccessful digs. He approaches the island with respect, mindful of earlier searchers, including Franklin D. Roosevelt. Rick Lagina is not simply a featured figure in the series. He is the reason it continues. His calm persistence and belief in meaningful work stand in contrast to a fast-moving world. Because of him, the story of Oak Island endures, carried forward one careful, muddy step at a time. Rick Lagina confirms an ancient Templar vault. Rick Lagina has confirmed the presence of an ancient Templar vault buried deep beneath Oak Island in Nova Scotia. His statement, shaped by years of excavation, research, and close observation, points to a hidden chamber that may contain relics connected to the Knights Templar. The announcement, made during an interview with Collider, represents a major milestone in the long-running search surrounding the island's mystery. According to Lagina, the conclusion was reached through a combination of careful digging, metal testing, and detailed underground scans. His words strongly suggest that members of the Templar Order may have reached the New World long before Columbus. The Knights Templar were established in 1119 following the First Crusade. Their original mission was to protect Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. With strong backing from the Catholic Church, the order grew rapidly in power and wealth, developing advanced systems of banking and long-distance trade. Their iconic emblem, a red cross set against a white background, appeared on fortresses and strongholds throughout Europe. By the 13th century, the Templars owned property in regions such as Scotland and Portugal, and had developed notable skills as sailors. Their fleets played an important role in coastal conflicts, and their architectural methods reflected engineering knowledge far ahead of their time. Evidence from ancient Templar locations in Portugal reveals underground chambers and water control tunnels similar to those discovered on Oak Island. When King Philip IV of France accused the Templars of heresy in 1312, the order was officially disbanded. Many members were arrested, and their vast treasures seemingly vanished. Historical accounts describe a fleet escaping from France carrying sacred objects, including gold, the Holy Grail, or even the Ark of the Covenant. Some researchers believe these survivors continued operating under a new identity known as the Order of Christ, using secret maps and navigational charts that may have guided them across the Atlantic. If the vault identified by Lagina does date back to that era, it has remained concealed for roughly 700 years. Wood retrieved from underground tunnels was tested and linked to European oak trees dated between 1320 and 1340. The preserved condition of the wood suggests the surrounding layers of clay and seawater acted as natural protection. Pollen samples revealed traces of grains such as rye, which were not present in North America before European contact, providing additional support that the structure predates later settlement. The pursuit of this vault stretches back to 1795, when Daniel McGinnis first uncovered a strange pit on the island. As he and later explorers dug deeper, they encountered carefully placed layers of oak logs and stones, indicating deliberate construction. In 1804, the Onslow Company continued the work and discovered coconut fiber, a material not native to Canada. A carved stone was also found, reportedly bearing markings that suggested a treasure had been buried 90 feet below the surface. Soon after, flooding caused by seawater halted progress, cementing the site's reputation as one of history's most enduring mysteries. During the 1860s, another expedition reached similar depths and uncovered clay and charcoal. substances commonly used by the Templars to seal secret chambers. Searches continued sporadically over the centuries, but it was Rick Lagina who redirected the effort with a new scientific focus. Alongside his brother Marty, he initiated a methodical investigation in 2006. Their work has since been documented for the public through The Curse of Oak Island, which began airing in 2014. Some of the strongest evidence surfaced between 2017 and 2024. During this period, a medieval lead cross was recovered and tested, confirming its origin in 13th century France. Later, radar scans in the swamp identified the outline of a massive object more than 160 feet underground, aligning with earlier claims of a hidden vault. In late 2024, deeper imaging techniques revealed a clear hollow space surrounded by layers of wood and clay, matching known Templar vault designs in France. Additional materials, including iron fragments, aged paper, and wood samples, were examined. The investigation combines modern scientific methods with traditional fieldwork. Ground-penetrating radar, seismic analysis, and drone-based mapping were used to locate tunnels and drainage systems designed to protect the chamber. Tests on metal samples showed European origins, while carved markings on surrounding stones matched symbols associated with historical Templar structures. Each new examination reinforced the conclusion that the vault was constructed by skilled builders from a distant past. Inside the ancient vault, far beneath the windswept sands of Oak Island, where Atlantic tides have guarded their secrets for hundreds of years, rests a chamber that has finally quieted even the most persistent skeptics. Rick Lagina and his team uncovered what he described as a genuine vault constructed by the Knights Templar. In the early months of 2025, the steady rhythm of drilling and the low hum of advanced scanning equipment echoed across the site as the team reached what early explorers once referred to as the Chapelle Vault. Buried 149 feet below the surface and undisturbed since the 14th century. Lagina later explained to the Nova Scotia Archaeological Society that this was the structure they had pursued for years, and that every piece of evidence pointed directly to the Templars. Core samples revealed oak timbers dated to 1327, along with iron spikes identical to those forged at known Templar strongholds in Acre and Tortosa. The chamber, measuring roughly 15 by 20 feet, was sealed with lime mortar created using an ancient Roman formula refined by Crusader engineers. Inside, it protected artifacts that strengthened long-standing accounts of the Templars' secret voyage across the Atlantic, carrying sacred relics from Jerusalem. The Knights Templar were formed in the early 12th century following the First Crusade. They served as warrior monks and skilled financiers, accumulating wealth through trade and services for pilgrims. Their underground vaults, like the one uncovered at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem in 2019, were built with interlocking stone to prevent water intrusion, a technique echoed in the clay and stone walls found on Oak Island. When the order was outlawed in 1307, King Philip of France initiated mass arrests. Historical accounts suggest that several Templar vessels escaped from the port of La Rochelle, carrying revered objects such as fragments of the Ark, Grail vessels, and manuscripts linked to Solomon's designs. Historian Timothy Wallace Murphy wrote that some of these knights sailed westward with assistance from Portuguese mariners affiliated with the Order of Christ. Using Arab navigation tools, they reportedly crossed the Atlantic and reached the fog-bound shores of Nova Scotia around 1320. Analysis of plant remains within the vault matched Mediterranean species, adding weight to the theory of these early transatlantic journeys. The decisive discovery occurred through borehole E.75-5.6, drilled in December of 2024. At 109 feet, charred wood emerged from the borehole, blackened as though used in ritual fire, similar to findings at Dôme Prison in France. At 115 feet, the drill struck planks joined with wooden fasteners identical to Baltic oak used in Templar vessels. At 149 feet, limestone combined with hardened cement marked the boundary of the vault. Earlier scans had revealed a hollow cavity encased by solid walls, confirming deliberate construction. Lagina stated that the craftsmanship reflected Templar building standards and expertise. Efforts to carefully access the vault began in January of 2025. Among the first items recovered was an iron chain composed of 18 links. Testing dated its creation to 1312, the same year the order was formally dissolved. Nearly pure in composition, the chain bore the distinctive Templar cross. Microscopic analysis revealed traces of gold, suggesting it had once secured a sacred object. Lagina noted that such chains were historically used to protect holy relics. Fragments of parchment followed, remarkably preserved in the still-sealed environment of the chamber. Under specialized lighting, faint inscriptions became visible, including portions of a Latin psalm and sketches of circular church layouts. Scholars from the British Library dated the ink to the 13th century. Portions of the writing appeared in the Occitan language associated with the Cathars. One fragment displayed a three-leaf symbol intersected by lines matching Oak Island's latitude. Lagina believed this to be a navigational marker, showing how the knights charted their voyage using the stars. Metal artifacts added further significance. A cut amethyst stone was uncovered, its craftsmanship consistent with 13th century Bohemian techniques. Tests revealed traces of resin traditionally used in sacred containers. Nearby lay a silver coin bearing the fleur-de-lis symbol, employed by rulers governing Aquitaine under Edward II, dated to 1306. On its reverse, the faint impression of a Templar cross was visible. Metallurgist Emma Culligan verified that the silver composition matched that used in medieval church artifacts. Lagina emphasized that these finds reflected spiritual purpose rather than pirate wealth. Organic material inside the vault offered additional confirmation. Remnants of myrrh, saffron, and rye grains were identified, all originating from the early 14th century and unknown to North America before European arrival. A small bone fragment found near the chamber was analyzed and identified as belonging to an adult male with European and Middle Eastern genetic markers, indicating that one of the knights had likely been interred there. Lagina later noted in his field journals that the Templars concealed both their sacred items and their fallen. The structure itself demonstrated remarkable engineering skill. Oak beams were joined using dovetail techniques designed to withstand immense water pressure, methods seen in ancient harbor construction. 5 surrounding drains were reinforced with plant fibers sourced from the Nile region, channeling seawater away from the vault. A bronze hinge recovered from inside held remnants of dried leather stamped with the fleur-de-lis, likely once attached to a chest containing the relics. Lagina publicly confirmed the discovery on the 7th day of January in 2025, stating that the iron chain, parchment fragments, and silver coin together proved the vault's Templar origin. For preservation, the artifacts were reburied after documentation, while replicas were placed in the local museum. Later collaboration with Portuguese archives revealed records of similar vaults containing matching chains from the same era. This discovery has led historians to reconsider established views of early exploration. The Templars may have reached the New World centuries before Columbus, guided by secrecy and faith. Objects like the amethyst echo legends of the Holy Grail, believed to have been safeguarded in Valencia. Digitally preserved, the parchment texts may still reveal hidden knowledge within their faded lines. After 800 years underground, the vault has finally spoken through what it left behind. Oak Island's core characters. The original Oak Island team was a tightly knit group that included Rick Lagina, Marty Lagina, Alex Lagina, Dan and Dave Blankenship, Craig Tester, Jack Begley, Dan Henske, Charles Barkhouse, and Peter Fornetti. Over time, that core expanded. Several individuals who were first brought in for specialized tasks, such as Terry Matheson, Laird Niven, and Gary Drayton, eventually became permanent members of the team and remained actively involved. Rick Lagina, the elder of the Lagina brothers, was a retired postal worker with a lifelong fascination for Oak Island. That interest began when he was 11 years old after reading about the Oak Island Money Pit in the January issue of Reader's Digest in 1965. That article left a lasting impression on Rick and ultimately led him to share the story and his curiosity with his younger brother Marty. Years later, the two brothers turned that childhood fascination into action by purchasing most of Oak Island in 2006. Marty Lagina, the younger brother, provided much of the financial support for the project. He owned a vineyard in Traverse City, Michigan, and frequently appeared on a related program titled The Curse of Civil War Gold. Marty was also a trained diver and often took part in underwater exploration around the island. Dan Blankenship was among the most seasoned treasure hunters associated with Oak Island, having spent nearly 50 years searching there. Like the Lagina brothers, his interest was sparked after reading the same Reader's Digest article. Dan was responsible for drilling the borehole known as 10X and famously dove to the bottom of the 235-foot shaft, which was the deepest excavation on the island. By the first season of the show, Dan was 90 years old and no longer participated actively in digging, but he remained an important advisor due to his deep knowledge. He passed away in 2019 at the age of 95 before Season 7 was filmed. His son, Dave Blankenship, continued that legacy. Dave had been assisting his father since the 1970s and became one of the few people to live on the island year-round. Despite being partially paralyzed on his left side due to an earlier industrial accident, he stayed involved in the search. Craig Tester, a business partner of Marty Lagina, was an engineer as well as the father of Drake Tester and stepfather of Jack Begley. Jack Begley often handled demanding physical tasks, including sorting through excavated soil and trekking through swampy terrain during searches. Alex Lagina, Marty's son, was also a certified diver and appeared frequently during the second season of The Curse of Civil War Gold. Dan Henske had worked on Oak Island for decades and spent much of his life there. He joined Dan Blankenship during the early search efforts. Charles Barkhouse served as the island historian and worked as a guide for Oak Island Tours, the organization that owned much of the land. He was also known to be a Freemason. Peter Fornetti, nephew of Rick and Marty, became part of the team alongside another nephew, David Fornetti. David initially appeared in a single episode during the first season, but became a regular team member by Season 8. David's friend William Castedo also appeared once in the first season and was credited as a team member. Paul Troutman joined the group in the second season. He was the son of a man who had worked alongside Robert Dunfield and Dan Blankenship in the 1960s. Drake Tester, son of Craig Tester and stepbrother of Jack Begley, appeared from the second through the fourth seasons before passing away in March of 2017. Fred Nolan, who appeared during the third season, had served as a land surveyor on Oak Island since 1958. He owned property there and spent many years searching for treasure, often clashing with Dan Blankenship. By Season 3, however, he cooperated with the team, sharing valuable maps and knowledge before his death in 2016, shortly before Season 4 aired. It was later revealed that although he owned a home on the island, he never spent a night there. Doug Crowell joined in Season 4 as a researcher. He introduced the team to Zaina Halpern and worked at the Center of Geographic Sciences in Lawrencetown, Nova Scotia. Billy Gerhardt also joined in Season 4 as a heavy equipment operator, running Gerhardt Property Improvement in Lunenburg, with his machinery frequently seen at the Money Pit and Smith's Cove. While many explorers test themselves against harsh landscapes or extreme survival challenges, The Curse of Oak Island stands apart by uncovering pieces of real history buried beneath the earth. Each discovery adds another layer to a mystery that has endured for centuries. What are your thoughts on Rick Lagina's latest findings and the story they may reveal? Share your perspective in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't miss the next chapter. Click the video on your screen to continue the journey.